Hey friends, welcome back to the Burn Stress Lose Weight podcast, where we are talking about the difference between discomfort tolerance and deprivation. I think that this is a topic that we've touched on over on this podcast in different episodes and from different angles, but I really wanted to address discomfort intolerance head on because what I've really seen now in not just weight loss, but in my career, in my business, especially I've been sharing with all of you, the last few months have been very uncomfortable for me as I've been embarking on this really big project that I recently shared with all of you. The currency to getting to your next level, to the next era that you want to welcome in, which is on the scale in your life and in your careers, is on the other side of building discomfort tolerance. And I think when we are not aware, when we confuse the difference between discomfort tolerance and deprivation, discomfort tolerance and blind discipline, it's really easy to go down the wrong rabbit hole. We can start trying to solve problems with the wrong solution. So I wanted to break down this episode where I really get into what are the 5 top areas that I've noticed contribute to discomfort intolerance, and then how we can start to build the muscle, take this muscle to the gym so that you can start to develop this as a skill set. And one of the things I want to start by saying is when you start to build discomfort tolerance in these 5 areas that I'm going to break down today, you won't just see this applied to weight loss or to your next body goal. This is discomfort tolerance that transcends every corner of your life. It applies everywhere because you have just one brain, and that one brain's ability to tolerate discomfort is going to trickle into your relationships, into your careers, and absolutely with weight loss. You're going to start to feel this massive up level into your next version. And that's what we have been talking about on this podcast. And if you have not been following along, if you're visiting back for the first time in a while or you're brand new, hello, I am Dr. Priyanka Venugopal. I'm a board certified OBGYN physician turned stress and weight loss coach for professional women who self-identify as overachievers. I have been breaking down over the past few weeks and really the past few months on this podcast very specific strategies, concepts, frameworks, and methods that sets our unstoppable process apart from really, I think, anything that's available on the internet. Because if just eating less and moving more or counting every calorie and point you ate was really the solution, I'm promising you, you would have already achieved your dream weight loss goals. And we recently unveiled a brand new look for Unstoppable. If you head over to burnstressloseweight.com, you're going to see a much bolder vision and one that's deeply intentional. I really wanted your experience coming into the website and some of the new tools that we are dropping there for you to feel like you're walking away with an understanding for how your dream results on and off the scale are completely within your reach. All that's in the way is making the decision to go there. So if you haven't checked the website out, of course, pause this episode. I will be right here when you come back. Head over to burnstressloseweight.com, check it out, click around, and especially we have a brand new resource for you, the Stress Archetypes tool that you can take. It's answering a few questions. You'll uncover what your unique stress archetype is. And just knowing your unique stress archetype is going to help you uncover a personal roadmap for how to navigate some of your own discomfort intolerances. Okay, once you've done that, come back to this episode and we are going to get into discomfort intolerance. When I think about discomfort, I think about this visceral experience in my body. It does not feel good. It feels very visceral. It feels like sometimes my heart is racing or my body is clenched or my fists are tight. Maybe my face feels flush or my heart is racing. I feel like it's feeling uncomfortable emotions aren't just a cerebral exercise. They create a very visceral experience in our body. Now, I think about discomfort in 2 separate flavors. So, flavor number 1 is the discomfort of staying where you are right now, staying where you are with your body, staying at the exact same weight, at the exact same endurance level you have, staying in the same place in your career, having your relationships be exactly as they are. We can call this the discomfort of your status quo. And then there's the other flavor of discomfort, and this is the discomfort of growth, the discomfort of growing into the next version of you, the discomfort of doing something maybe that you've never done, of challenging your nerves, your fear of failing, your traveling the road that you haven't yet traveled or traversing it in a way that maybe you haven't in the past. So whether you stay with exactly where you are, which is your status quo, or you decide to pursue your next level, your up level, the next area you want to grow into, both areas have discomfort. So mistake number 1 that most overachievers make is we believe that changing or weight loss or kind of pursuing whatever the next next goal you have for yourself is the one that's going to take a lot of effort. But what I like to remind my clients about is there's actually a lot more effort staying where you are when you're dissatisfied with something that you're experiencing in your life. So now we can break down there's two flavors of discomfort, the discomfort of your status quo and the discomfort of growth. And you're listening to this podcast because you likely know that there's just one of these that will take you farther, that will take you to the dream vision that you have for yourself, that will move the needle forward in a vision that you maybe have for your future. If you could flash forward 10 years from now, or 20 years from now, or 30 years from now, you would look back and think, yeah, girl, I am so proud that I went on that journey. So let's break down if we pursued that second flavor of discomfort, the discomfort of growth, to go to your next up level. What are the 5 specific areas that contribute to your discomfort? And if you don't already have the results that you want, it's usually because you have an intolerance. You have this resistance to experiencing one of these 5 discomforts. Reason number 1 is you don't have your proverbial non-refundable, non-negotiable plane ticket to Paris built into your life and onto your calendar. If you have not been following me and you're like, what is she talking about with this plane ticket to Paris? This is a podcast episode I did a few months ago where I talked about how to stop procrastinating on your weight loss strategies. And in a nutshell, I basically described if you don't have guilt-free rest and real joy, real play that's not relying on food and alcohol, if you're not getting enough sleep, basically if you're not giving your brain a break in a real way, not in a fake way where you're just mindlessly scrolling your phone until 2 in the morning. I'm saying real rest, real sleep, real joy and fun that's not using food or alcohol, your very tired brain is going to stay unfocused. It's not going to be able to make high quality decisions. And worse yet, a tired brain is always going to ramp up your discomfort. It's going to ramp up urges and cravings to go off track. It's going to want to steal breaks and little moments of snacking, scrolling, and procrastination, not because you're weak or lazy or not disciplined. It's simply because reason number 1 that you have this discomfort, you never actually scheduled into the math of your life real rest and play that did not rely on food and alcohol. This does not need to be some massive, huge endeavor where you take multiple days and actually go to Paris, though that can be quite nice. This happens in small moments. It's having boundaries around when you're working and when you're not. It's deciding when you're planning on closing your laptop for the day. It's deciding when you're done charting for the day. It's actually staying on task when you said you would. So I think charting is a great example. If you knew that you were going to get a complete break when you were done with office hours today, if you knew that you were not going to take your work home with you, that you were going to have a hard stop, that you were going to have a lot of fun and relaxation and rest when you got home, how much more focused would you be during the workday? This principle ties into having really clear boundaries on where you're going to be done working and when you get to have rest and joy. And the beauty of this is when you actually put those boundaries in place, when you decide that you're going to be done with work, pick your time that feels like it fits your life, the way that you would show up over the course of the whole entire day is going to be next level. You're going to be way more focused. You're going to get things done. You're not going to procrastinate in little moments. When you're doing the patient chart, you can just knock it out in 5 minutes while the information is fresh in your brain, rather than meandering the break room or talking with the staff or talking with your MA or chit-chatting with someone for longer than you have time for. You will get the work done when you said you were going to get it done because your brain knows, don't worry, we have a break coming this evening when we said we were going to be done with work. Part of the discomfort here is if you have said to yourself that you're going to take a break, but then you never really take it, or you said you were going to be done with work at 5 o'clock, but then you keep working, or you said you were not going to bring your charts home, but then you do, your brain has lost trust with you. And when you start to chip away at your trust with yourself of not doing what you said you were going to do, this is going to create an immense amount of discomfort. So the match to discomfort number 1, which is not having enough sleep, rest, and joy built into the structure of your life, the actual math has to math. The solution is actually building in small and big moments of real rest, deciding what is enough, when are you done with work, when are you going to have rest. And this takes some intentionality. You can't just wing this. If you have a very busy life with a lot of responsibilities, if you're a mom and you're mom chauffeuring and you have after school activities, you have to actually take some time every week and look at the math of your calendar. Make the math actually work. Decide what you might say no to, what you might delegate, what you might put off to later, what you might train somebody else to do. Because making space in your calendar for you to get real rest is how you're going to stop undoing a lot of your wins. I'm going to be honest, number one is going to feel uncomfortable, especially if you're someone that is used to doing it all the time. You're used to being in service of everyone else. You have a hard time putting boundaries in place, or maybe you have felt like rest and play feel frivolous or indulgent. This is going to be your work. Growing your discomfort tolerance to putting in boundaries so that you take care of your rest is going to feel uncomfortable. But just remember, when your brain is taken care of and well rested, when your body is taken care of and well rested, you get to show up better in every single corner of your life. So that is reason number one that you have discomfort intolerance and the skill that you have to practice to build that tolerance back up. Reason number two is you're operating from one of your stress archetypes. So we covered this in a lot of detail in the past few weeks. I've covered the 4 different stress archetypes: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, and how these 4 stress archetypes, when you're operating from your subconscious brain, it's the most reactive part of your brain. When you're operating from one of your stress archetypes, your brain simply learns that certain emotions are too big for you. So whenever you feel stressed, worried, annoyed, irritated, angry, disappointed, discouraged, in those moments, if you have used food or alcohol to take a break from the emotional experience, your brain simply learned that emotion was too much for us to handle. Most of us have been completely unaware that this is where most of our habits have come from. You've never had a discipline problem. You simply had a stress dysregulation problem. And so if you're someone that has ever believed that this stress is quote unquote too much for me, or this overwhelm is too much for me to handle, it's simply because for the past many years or even decades, you've simply tapped out or taken your foot off the gas in those moments you have felt uncomfortable. The solution for number two, this is not an easy one, is to practice feeling uncomfortable emotions without tapping out or numbing out. In the moment, rather than reacting to your stresses or hiding from them or freezing and ruminating in them, take a moment to slow down and pause. Even just naming the emotion, saying it out loud, this is just me feeling stressed, this is me feeling overwhelmed, this is me feeling angry. Saying it out loud, taking a breath in that moment is going to turn your more evolved brain back online. It's going to relax the distress signals in your brain, and it's going to help teach your brain that these emotions, while they're uncomfortable, are not actually dangerous. Here's my caveat to discomfort number two. Practicing allowing uncomfortable emotions is exactly as it sounds. It's uncomfortable. So that means as you allow an emotion to be there without tapping out or numbing out, don't expect that the emotion will just dissipate and completely go away. You might feel uncomfortable for some time, and just know that nothing is going wrong. It's completely normal. The third reason that you might experience discomfort intolerance is because you have resistance to the fact that growth and results are on the other side of many sticky, messy moments. You might have a sticky, messy season, a sticky, messy day, a week, a meal. We can fill in whatever the time gap is for you, but your massive growth and your results on the scale are on the other side of going through the sticky, messy season. For most overachieving professional women, and ask me how I know, because this has been my story for many years and is part of what informs a lot of what I share on this podcast, we don't know how to treat ourselves when we have a misstep, when we mess up, when we miss the mark on something, or when the scale is up a pound, or we completely forgot ourselves. Instead of having our own back in that moment, we go to deep criticism, self-blame, shame, embarrassment, to the point that we start fearing failure so much that we stop wanting to try. It's the reason that you take your foot off the gas after you gain a pound over the weekend. So when you experience the very normal human experience of mess ups and mistakes and imperfection, when you gain that pound up on the scale, you hide from the scale, you hide from the process, you throw in the towel. You might think you have to jump ship or need another fresh start. And it's actually those moments of what happens after the mess up, after the messy moment, after that sticky season. It's that moment that actually perpetuates the problem and builds your discomfort intolerance. I think this is actually one of the areas that my clients inside my group coaching program, Burn, Stress, Lose Weight, get to benefit from the most. When my clients experience that sticky, messy moment where they maybe went off track or they experienced something difficult and they forgot themselves or they gained a pound, I help them catch that very normal moment where they want to take their foot off the gas, where they want to question the whole strategy, where they want to jump ship. Because it's in that moment when you go through it, when you can learn from it, when you can have your own back through it, that's when you get to the other side wiser and with more information so you can learn from what happened. The solution to this discomfort, and listen, this is hard, but it's what it is. It's recalibrating your expectations of what is normal. The student in you, again, with the educational system, might think that linear success is roughly a pound per week on the scale, or it's some type of linear progress where you get to believe that you're doing a good job. I'm just simply here to show you that that's not the human condition. There's going to be many imperfect, messy seasons, and it's what you do right after you catch yourself in that season. It's what you do after that sticky, messy moment when the scale is up a pound that's going to ask you to build discomfort tolerance. When you notice yourself feeling disappointed for going off track or for gaining a pound, let yourself feel the sting of disappointment, grow your discomfort tolerance to handle that disappointment, and get back on like you never left off. The fourth reason for discomfort intolerance is because you let yourself negotiate for too long. The longer that you let your brain negotiate back and forth on what you said you were going to do, the more discomfort you create for yourself. I actually dedicated a whole podcast episode on how to stop negotiating with yourself. Go back and take a listen to that one. But when you negotiate, should I, shouldn't I? Like, you've made a plan, you made the decisions on exactly what you're going to do. You loved your reasons for it. The plan made a lot of sense. And then in the moment, you start negotiating with yourself. It's not the plan itself that's causing your discomfort. It's the negotiating and the back and forth that you're having in your brain. This is because overachievers sometimes have this false assumption, and I was the same, that we need to be completely in the mood, excited, and motivated to do what we said we were going to do, rather than the reality, 90% of the time, we are not going to be in the mood. We're not going to feel excited and completely motivated on taking action in the way we said. So the reason that you negotiate is very normal. If you believe that you need to talk yourself into following the plan, you're going to keep negotiating with yourself. Here's the solution. It's going to sound really simple, but let it be simple. Stop negotiating with yourself. Accept the fact that sometimes you're not going to be in the mood or be the most excited or the most motivated. It's not a problem. Take action quickly and let your brain move on to the next thing. When you start actually doing this piece, and again, this is going to build your discomfort tolerance to do what you said you were going to do without being in the mood. When you start doing that again and again and again, you're going to build this discomfort tolerance so you stop negotiating with yourself. One of the things that I have heard from so many of you is more than just losing weight. You want to stop thinking so much about weight loss. You want to stop thinking about the number on the scale and am I going to do what I said and what if I don't and what if I do and what if it doesn't last? All of the mental chatter that you have is usually because you're allowing yourself to negotiate. So rather than doing that, have a plan that you trust and love that you know is going to get you results. This is a science-informed strategy. Make sure that you have, number one, a plane ticket to Paris. You have your guilt-free rest, enough sleep, enough nutrition built into the math of your life. And then take action without overthinking it. I know it sounds crazy, but it's so simple. And when you actually do it, you realize that actually this was easier than I realized that it could be. The last reason that you might have discomfort intolerance is because you have this thought that if you can't do it all perfectly, then why bother? It's very all or nothing. Again, I have been in the same boat. So I'm sharing all these because I have personally experienced all of this. But you have this idea that if I can't do it all perfectly, then it's probably not going to work. So why bother wasting my effort and energy in doing A- work or B+ work? And so the discomfort tolerance is to build the muscle, to build the practice of just doing it messy. I know this one is so hard, especially if you are a perfectionist and you like to have the entire thing mapped out and you want to have all the check boxes and all of the things calendared out. I know how uncomfortable this is going to be for you, but this is building discomfort tolerance. Practice doing it messy. Let yourself just focus on the next small step. You don't have to flash forward to all the steps in the future, all the different rungs of the ladder. Just focus on getting up on the next rung of the ladder, the next step for today. I've given you 5 different major contributors to why you have discomfort intolerance. And when we're not aware of it, our brains can create some very convenient, compelling, convincing, I call these 3C stories, for why you should keep your status quo because it seems uncomfortable, right? I'm asking you to grow your discomfort tolerance by allowing uncomfortable emotions, by doing things messy, by having your back when you mess up. I'm asking you to do these things to build your discomfort tolerance because on the other side of it is your next level, your next era. But what I will say is this episode is about asking you to be willing. And the only reason that any of us would ever be willing to do that, to grow our discomfort tolerance, is because the results that you have been dreaming of matter to you. And so when I remember what my goals are for myself, when I flash forward to 6 months from now, or a year from now, or 10 years from now, that vision of myself is what helps drive, creates my desire to do this work, to put the effort in to feel uncomfortable. Because just like I shared at the start of today's episode, staying where you are right now and not changing a single thing when you feel uncomfortable in your body or in some part of your life is uncomfortable too. The beauty of growing your discomfort tolerance is that it starts to expand your emotional capacity, your resilience. It starts to create the confidence that no matter what comes your way, you will be able to figure it out. And what I realized is on the other side of discomfort tolerance, and again, it's not a perfect practice. There's always going to be the next level and the next area of growth, but that allows you to shoot more shots. I think having your own back through discomfort intolerance, teaching yourself the skill, catching it in real time, knowing that it's a very human experience. If it feels tender or vulnerable, it's normal. I get it. I see you. Nothing is going wrong if you're feeling the discomfort. And also teaching your body that it's safe to experience these emotions is going to let you dream and shoot for bigger things. Honestly, it's incredibly freeing to realize that feeling uncomfortable, building discomfort tolerance is actually okay. And my favorite part about it is we get to teach our children. There's not a perfect protocol or a perfect roadmap for it. There's just a practice. You simply start practicing with one and you practice it again, and then you layer in another. And before you know it, you have changed a lot of your life. And your kids get to watch you doing that, which means they get to go next. And I want to just share with you, I hope you noticed that as I shared with you the 5 different types of discomfort intolerance, deprivation didn't really come up. And that was the intention of this episode. Deprivation only comes up if you are not giving yourself enough bare basic minimums. If you're not giving yourself enough high quality nutrition, if you're not giving yourself enough rest, enough sleep, you have to define what that is for you. Defining enough, what's enough food, what's enough rest, what's enough sleep is how you can guarantee that you will never deprive yourself ever. That is not a part of the weight loss strategies that we employ here. It's not a winning strategy that's going to create sustainable results for you, but really knowing how to separate the difference between discomfort tolerance and deprivation is going to help you feel more empowered in your next move. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast episode and you found discomfort tolerance as an interesting concept for you to start to play with. This last month of the year is one of the best teachers to practice discomfort tolerance. And we talked about this a little bit in last week's podcast episode, the 42% gap. If you can practice discomfort tolerance over the course of this month while also having enough rest and joy, like truly, I call this Goldilocksing your entire strategy. Just think about what that unlocks for you and what results are on the other side of that. I hope you all enjoyed today's podcast episode, and I will see you at the next one. Bye.